sitting in the Paul Smith store in Coal Drops Yard in London for the launch of the Factor Paul Smith, the Paul Smith Factor. First of all, tell me how you guys met. How did this come about?
Through somebody called David Millar.
Well, I can remember because I was visiting Paul, as I sometimes do when I'm visiting London, and we were in your office, and we were just looking at the bikes, and you said, I haven't got like a new bike, like one of the latest bikes, and I was waxing lyrical about what the new bikes are, and I said, well, for me, the best of Factor.
Yeah.
And I said, let's call Rob.
Yeah, and that was it.
That was it.
We were on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell us a bit about, I mean, you both got backgrounds from racing. Paul, your story's one, and perhaps just tell us again a little bit about.
I mean, mine was just starting at the age of 12 until I was 18. So obviously the dream was to be somebody like yourself. But after a bad crash, I ended up in hospital for 3 months, and then discovered something called the English pub, and completely by chance the pub I discovered was the pub where all the fashion designers, photographers, architects from the local school, art college it was called then, now a university, and that was it. I suppose the old-fashioned saying, the rest is history. You know, just got into the world of creativity, but never lost the passion for bike riding.
Yeah, I think that's been one of the most amazing things for us in the cycling world, is to have Sir Paul Smith, the globally known designer who's been into cycling before it became what is trendy now, I think we can safely say.
Yeah, yeah.
And for us, it's always been a badge of honor that you're into it. And I think, Rob, what does it mean for you, this collaboration? And tell us a bit about your history in cycling and Factor.
I think I got started about the same age as Paul, maybe a decade or so later. You know, for me, cycling was an escape from the reality of my life at the time. And it enabled me to travel the world as a bicycle racer for some years, and then, you know, enter the bicycle industry when I stopped racing bicycles. This collaboration is kind of, I don't want to say it's the pinnacle of my career, but it's definitely one of the highlights, you know, to work with Sir Paul Smith on a Factor bike. I think it's really a coming of age for our brand.
And Paul, what's surprising is with your affiliation with cycling, you've done surprisingly few collaborations. You've done Mercier, Rafa, you've worked with the Giro d'Italia, did a pink jersey. Why Factor?
Because it's state of the art, really, and from what I can tell, I mean, I'm not an expert, but I just love the lines. I love the conversation. When you read about the enormous amount of hard work that's gone into, you know, I'm going to say all the wrong words now, but the streamlining, the wind tunnel work, and it's just a beautiful looking bike that works really well. And I've always, with my clothes, I've always done very insistent about, you know, how things are stitched, attention to detail, and it's something we talked about earlier, in fact, just before this, about attention to detail.
What's interesting with this for me, because you say coming from the fashion and the clothing side, when you move on to hardware, there's always a sort of a stylistic look to it, from the angle poise Land Rover, the Mini.
Yeah.
What was the inspiration for this design?
Obviously, you've got a small amount of hardware to work on with a bicycle, with all the magnificent little lines of where the carbon fibre is, where it starts and finishes, how it's made. So I was trying to just draw it like a Mondrian painting, and we're really pleased with it. And of course, the one thing I've done a lot myself is like rough and smooth, shiny and dull, and that's what we've done in the bike as well. So we've got the matte finish, we've got shiny finish, and then we've got the raw carbon with just some lacquer on as well, which is like putting a denim shirt with a cashmere suit or something, you know.
Rob, you were saying before that this is the toughest application of a design you've ever had to do in a Factor. Can you explain a bit?
Well, I think normally if we think about man hours of painting a bicycle, normally it takes 9-10 hours. This one's close to 30 because there are so many colors. Then, as Paul said, there's gloss, there's matte, and there's just the level of complexity of all of the masking. The bike has to be taped over, I think, probably 10 times, you know, throughout, you know, the painting process. And so it really pushed us, but we're really happy also with the result, because now we know, okay, this is possible. When before, I think nobody would have accepted to do something like this.
And tell us a bit about the bike itself, Rob. This is the Ostro. What makes it different?
Well, in my mind, this is the Factor Paul Smith. It is on our Ostro chassis. It's our premium racing bike. It's won stages in the Tour de France this year and last year. Won the Roubaix stage of the Tour de France last year, and then it was on the biggest climbing stage this past year. So I guess you could say it's won the 2 Queen stages of the Tour the past 2 years. For us, this is, really highlighting our racing pedigree.
With this collaboration, Paul, what does it mean to you personally?
I mean, just such an exciting thing to do. I love anything that scares me, and it scared me.
Does this inspire you to extend more your cycling range? Does this introduce you to a new side?
I say no to far more things than I say yes to, and so I was pleased to say yes to this collaboration, and so probably that'll be it, now for a long time or maybe forever, because you just choose your projects carefully. I chose that Angle Poise lamp because it's every student in England had one on their desk when they were at university, and the Mini's iconic, Leica cameras. My father was an amateur photographer, and his dream was to have a Leica camera. So you just go for the things that have got a reason, and that's why I love this.
Well, I have to say it is a beautiful bike, and it's even more interesting to hear that it's going to be essentially one of the last ever Paul Smith performance road bikes.
Yeah, probably, yeah,
So,
yeah.
Good luck.
Yeah. Thanks very much.
Looking forward to the launch.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Cheers.